to another episode of Raven's Nest. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Raven.
And I'm Raven.
And today we will be talking about mental health. We have our special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dr. Tiffany Young.
Okay, and what
She's also my cousin. She forgot to say that part.
Yes.
So when you
He is my
introduce
cousin.
yourself. So what is your title?
So my official title is Dr. Tiffany L. Young, PhD, LPC-S.
Ooh, and what is all the acronyms for?
All the alphabets, okay. So I have a doctorate in counseling, and I am a licensed professional counselor supervisor.
Oh, okay.
She is also the author of a children's book.
I am. I have several books. Author of 4 books, but
Okay.
one of them is a children's
One of them
book.
is a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most recent.
No.
There's one after.
Anxiety Goals is the
Yeah.
most recent one.
Yeah.
So all of them are based around mental health as well? Love it. So where can we get the books? Like, sell yourself.
You can get them on Amazon under my name, or you can get them on my website, and it's just www.drtlyoung.com.
Love it.
And we will have that in the description below.
Okay, you know I don't like to be. You know I,
Girl, sell it.
you know I don't like that.
If there's no other time, do it
I
at this
know.
Do it
time.
now. Yeah. So I am going to start off, since we are talking about mental health, I'm going to start off with the question of what is mental health? Like, can you explain that?
Yeah. So it's so interesting because there's 2 different words, right? So there's mental health and then there's mental illness. And those are 2 completely different things. So mental illness is actually a sickness of the mind. It literally means illness of the mind. And mental health is actually those things that you do regularly to keep your mind healthy, your emotions healthy. So similar to physical health, right? So we go to the gym, we eat right. So the things that you do regularly to take care of your mind and your emotions is mental health. And people often get those 2 confused because they're used interchangeably.
Okay. What made you pick this field to get into?
So it's a funny story. I actually started off as a pre-med major.
Okay.
But chemistry, is not my ministry. And I ended up in a psychology class and actually loved it. And then I also had my own battle with anxiety when I was 19 years old. In a chemistry class, I had a huge panic attack and had to end up going to the university clinic and found out that I was having an anxiety attack. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like I was about to pass out. And he was like, nothing is wrong with you. It's anxiety.
So did anything trigger that or it just came?
It just happened. I think again, chemistry was not my strong suit. I was failing the class, I had a whole F. Never in life have I had an F in a class.
Yeah.
So I was in the class, professor was teaching, and I just couldn't understand what he was saying. Like the concepts were not clicking. And I think that just caused me to have a meltdown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How does someone know that they suffer from a mental illness versus like situational being sad or angry?
So there's actually, of course, diagnosis that we give whenever there is an actual mental illness, and you're looking for patterns. So you're looking for the frequency and the length of how long has symptoms been going on. So for at least 2 weeks, sometimes the triggers, most of the time when someone has a mental illness, the triggers are unknown. So for instance, if someone passed away in my life, I'm going to be sad. That's a normal reaction. But when that starts to take over my life, like I can't eat, I can't sleep, 4 or 5 months later, I'm still in the same state I was when that person initially passed away, then that's kind of signaling something else is going on. When I can't go to work or school, when it starts to interfere with your life is really when you need to kind of see a professional to determine if this is a true mental illness.
Okay, well, let me just ask this then, because I think sometimes just normally, like you might just go through something like the breakup, you know? Okay, cool. I don't want to talk to nobody. I want to be in my house. I want it to be dark. Let me just be alone for like a week. That's okay.
That's a normal emotional response that the trigger. The trigger was the breakup. Right? So you know the trigger. Usually when someone has a true mental illness, it's like, I'm just sad and I don't know why. I have no idea why. Or start questioning, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Those types of questions start to, for me as a professional, pull up a red flag. Like, what is really truly going on? And so I would send that person to a psychiatrist for a diagnosis if I truly believe it's there.
Okay. Why do you think people struggle to talk to loved ones and feel lonely when they're struggling?
So particularly in the Black community, I think that's the case because we've been told so long to just pray it away, go to church, nothing's wrong with you, you got Jesus, and mental illness doesn't work that way. It is not the demons taking over your life. And I think that oftentimes we push it away. You know, there's that video or that meme that says, I think I'm depressed. And the parent says, oh, you depressed? Go depress them dishes. And I think that's truly how it is sometimes when people are trying to express themselves and say, I'm not feeling right. And we kind of brush it off like, you all right. You have, or saying something like, you have nothing to be sad about. You're blessed. You have everything in the world. You have your kids. You have a great job. You have this. That don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's material things. I'm still sad, you know? So I think that's the reason why people have a hard time speaking with loved ones.
I definitely agree with you. I know for a fact, I have some relatives that did not believe in mental health. Like, and I know a lot of people like that. They'll say, it's more so like you can't see the injury, so you don't believe that it's there.
Right.
And yeah, I've had because I do battle with a mental illness, and I just feel like, again, I know for a fact, my dad was saying for a while, like, he was like, you got what?
What?
Like,
Yeah.
nah, you all right. Like, and he just, and it's not just him. Of course, now I feel like he more so understands it more, but just across the board, I feel like a lot of people are like that. Like, you can't see it, like, can't see that I'm bruised or something's broken, so it's just not there.
And then a lot of people fear the unknown. You know, it's like, if I don't know what bipolar disorder is, or I don't know what trauma is, then I don't understand it, so it's not real, right? So people fear labels and being unknown. But if somebody tells you have cancer, you're not fearing that label.
Right, and you can't
that's
see
the
that
label.
either.
That's the label that you have. And so I think that's, you know, pretty much why people don't talk to their family members or sometimes their friends about it.
So you actually said something else in regards to like parents. So what advice would you give to parents that have children with mental health issues?
I would say, first of all, educate yourself about what is the mental illness? What is it that your child actually has? So, for instance, if they have bipolar, get educated about it. What does that actually mean?
And what does that mean?
Yeah, because
so a lot of people think bipolar just means, oh, a person just flies off the handles. Yeah. No. So bipolar disorder is when someone has two levels of emotion. So bipolar, it's two extremes. One is very high, which is taking those risks, going gambling, just, you know, taking some risk, high risk. And then the other one's very low, where they're very, very depressed, and they can't get out of that. So they fluctuate through those moods. Now, people might say, well, I do that every month. But there truly is a mental health diagnosis for bipolar disorder. But I would say for parents, get educated about what does it truly mean. Then respect the professionals, right? Respect the professionals. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been to school, some of us, for 12, 16 years to learn how to do what we do. And so we're not just slapping a diagnosis on you or telling you that you need to learn your coping skills or express your emotions, stop stuffing stuff down, or you'll blow up. We're not just telling you that for any reason. You're not the first client we've seen, you know. So respect the professionals. Now there is research and myths about African Americans being diagnosed with the wrong thing. I do not deny that, but just respect the professionals. I do say get a second opinion. You can get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, but just respect the professionals. And then make sure that you figure out what can I do to support. Right, what can I do to support my child with this mental illness? And sometimes that means doing the extreme thing, which means putting your child in a hospital, putting them on medication, doing the things that they need for their mental health, because it's not about you. Yeah. It's about them.
So what are your thoughts in regards to parents not wanting to go ahead and medicate their children?
So, my personal opinion is I'm anti-medication as well. I'm a therapist. I believe that therapy can assist with most mental illnesses. However, there are some mental illnesses that are so extreme that require medication. And then it's that combination of therapy and medication that work the best. So someone who is schizophrenic cannot sit across from me and have talk therapy because they're having hallucinations. They need medication. Sometimes bipolar disorder needs medication, but I've seen bipolar disorder do just fine in therapy on its own. Depression, depending on how extreme it is. Anxiety, depending on how extreme it is. But I would say try therapy first. If it does not work, then go to the next level, which is to see a psychiatrist. So there are so many different mental health professionals. And that's the other thing. Know who you're going to see.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that, you know? Just like, for example, at the beginning, you gave all your alphabets. Yeah. Now, I personally have gone through EAP at my job, and I'm like, I need this, and they'll send me a list, and it's so many, and I'm like, let me Google, what does this mean? Because I don't know, you know? Yeah.
So I can speak a little bit about that. So licensed professional counselors, we are there to help you through the mess, right? We're there to take everything you have in your brain and roll it up into nice little yarn balls to help you make sense of it. We're also there to help you get to the root of the issue. So you're going to spend about 50 minutes with us every session, and you're going to do most of the talking. So we don't give advice, and that's a common misconception. We do not give advice. We help you walk through it on your own, and you actually heal yourself ultimately. And then there are social workers, so they also do therapy as well, but they also help you navigate the system. So people who are homeless and need housing, jobs, security, things of that nature, social workers can help with. And then there are psychologists who do the testing. So if your child has ADHD, autism, that's who's going to do the test for that. And then psychiatrists are medical doctors. They're going to give you medications. So a lot of times people go to psychiatrists thinking that they're going to have therapy. No. Two different professionals.
So sometimes they have to see both okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
You got it. It's the combination. It's a combination of therapy and psychiatry. So as a therapist, I don't write you a prescription, right? That's what the psychiatrist does. So a lot of people, they get mixed up in the system or they give up because they don't know who to go see.
So then, hopefully I'm not interrupting anything you're about to say. Okay. Because I hear this all the time. Well, I just can't afford to see them. So, of course, in that instance, I'm seeing two people. Any advice or, like, because, of course, I know there's probably, what's the word? Resources. There's resources to go ahead and assist them. Anything that you can think off the top?
There are a variety of different programs that people can research. For myself specifically, I work with Open Path, and they are a resource that allows me to reduce my fees down between $30 and $60.
Wow.
I ain't gonna tell y'all my normal rate.
But no, that
scare you, right?
That is really good because I'm telling you, I know so many people and they acknowledge that I do have issues. And I know some people, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, most of the time they have multiple issues, but they can't afford it. And so it'll go away. And sometimes it'll go away temporarily, and then when it comes back, it's massive. And
that's what happens is you don't take care of your mental health, and it gets worse and worse and worse. It's just like a cavity. If you don't take care of it, now you have to have a root canal. You don't do that root canal, now you got to have that teeth extracted. It's the same thing with mental health. If you are depressed and you don't take care of it, you can exacerbate to bipolar disorder or something worse, right? So you want to make sure that you take care of things proactively. And then seeing a counselor and taking care of mental health is not just a when I feel sick thing.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, everyday thing, right? So journaling, meditating, that stuff that we do every single day, it helps us to maintain our mental health. So it's not just when I feel sad, I go see a therapist. Some people just come to see me just to talk about life.
So like the people who don't have anything wrong, they're just coming, do they come to you like once a month or what's their frequency? It depends.
Everybody is different. Okay. So we create an individualized treatment plan. So just because you have depression and you have depression doesn't mean you're all going to be treated the same. It's all individualized. Okay. And so some people do see me once a month, every other month. Especially if they're just coming just to talk about life, then they just come every other month or something like that. I do recommend in the beginning, this is just me personally, I recommend weekly sessions in the beginning just because I don't know how your symptoms are going to work out. But once we get to a certain point, then we can decide how we want to change our schedule and what's best for you.
So what are your thoughts in regards to mental health and mental illness with social media? Do you think that plays a factor?
Absolutely. Social media, it is a good and an evil. I think that it plays a huge role. I'm glad to see that a lot of celebrities are talking about mental illness, but it seems like it's becoming a trend and a fad and, you know, things like that. So I just want people to not self-diagnose themselves, because we have teenagers saying, I have bipolar, I have this, because they're watching TikToks of people who have it or say they have it, or they're watching influencers. And just influencers really need to be careful about what they're putting out there. Just really be careful, because you're messing with people's mind, you know. So I don't take my profession lightly, because I'm messing with people's minds, right, and their emotions, and that's not something to play with.
I definitely think it's a difference between trying to educate someone about something either you're going through or something you deal with, versus just kind of putting it out there as a joke in a way, I guess. Like, because again, especially with like bipolar, like people use that so lightly, and so like that again, people think they know what bipolar is because people use it so lightly. Like, oh, you were mad one minute, you're happy one minute, like, oh, you're bipolar. Oh, you're bipolar. Like, yeah, and it's like that's not even what it is. So yeah, I definitely think people need to, like you said, educate themselves and just realize that people do look up to you. Kids look up to you. And if you're going to put it out there, I feel like it should be more of a educate. Give them, if they do deal with this, give them places that they could go for help, or websites or anything. But just putting it out there as a joke, like, kids don't really understand that.
Yeah. And realize that everybody's journey is different. So again, just because you have depression, I have depression, she has depression, our journey is not the same. And so if you're putting tips out there for people, just be, you know, just be mindful and say, this is my journey. That doesn't mean this is your journey, because people will take your tips and then, you know, it might mess them up even further, right? So just be careful what we put out there, and just the kids, just pay attention to what, you know, parents, we have to pay attention to what our kids are watching.
Agreed.
There's a lot of evil out there. I've seen, you know, in the past, several suicide videos on Facebook Live, and it's not good. It traumatizes everybody, right? Not only the person, but everybody who has watched it or shares it and all that kind of stuff.
Agreed.
That's why I am glad they put that little filter thing on there where you can, because I just
it's traumatizing.
No, it really is.
Now, do you have social media yourself?
I do.
Okay. Do you post freely, or do you watch what you post because people know your profession and they might, oh, she's giving us advice, or, you know, something like that?
So I do have a personal page, and I do have a professional page. My professional page is merely for education purposes and to promote, you know, therapy and come to therapy. What do you need? Promote my t-shirt brands.
And what is your t-shirt?
It's the Black Therapist Brand.
Check it out.
Yeah.
We'll also have that in the description as well.
So the Black Therapist Brand just helps Black therapists to live out loud, because sometimes we are, you know, in the shadows. You hear it all the time. There's not enough Black therapists. There really is. There really is. There's a lot of Black therapists, but we don't have brands that cater to us. And so I decided to create it. And so this is the official shirt for our NAMI walk coming up in May, and so I'm excited about that.
I was about to say, I did see you have an event coming up. So is that open to the public?
Yes, we would love for you. So it's not my event personally. We're just participating. So the National Alliance on Mental Illness has a walk every year to raise funds, and you put together a team. So it's like a 5K that we have to walk around the stadium.
Okay, so I will be on the sidelines supporting. But I can't be.
Yeah. But I think she just said exercise helps.
Exercise, okay.
Okay, look. So remember, she said like different things work for different people. So
I can't lie, because I go around there about 2 times and then I have to sit down.
Like I said, I do battle with my own mental health issues. However, you know, I have what's currently working for me. That may change in the future or tomorrow. Who knows? But in the moment, it works for me. It does not include walking 5K. So
it's just one day, cousin. So yeah,
it doesn't involve walking 5K ever. Maybe in my lifetime.
Yeah. And people can become virtual walkers. So people that actually can't make it to the event can just purchase the shirt, and that will be your donation to NAMI, and you'll be a virtual walker. Or people can join us on May 21st in Frisco. We'll meet at 7:30, and the walk starts at 8.
And where is it? Like
at the ballpark in Frisco.
Okay.
Rough Riders Stadium, I think it's what it's called.
Wow, we have a
virtual walker. Sounds like my thing.
Okay. So just purchase your shirt and you will be a part of the team.
Okay, cool. Now, what's one thing you would like people to take away or learn from this episode?
Couple things. Well, first, mental health and mental illness are two totally different things. There are Black professionals out there. We are there to help. And just professionals in general, we are here to help. We're not here to stigmatize you or make you feel like you're labeled or anything like that. And then just educate yourself about mental illness and what it truly is so that you're not miseducating others and you're not miseducating yourself. And I like what my cousin said. She has a routine that works for her. So find that routine that works for you. I still suffer with anxiety, which is why it's my specialty. It's a passion of mine. And so I have a routine that works for me as well. And so I have a therapist, I am a therapist and I have a therapist.
Okay.
So yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
So just make sure you have a routine that works for you. And it composed of mainly positive coping skills because there are negative coping skills. So we just want to make sure it's composed of positive coping.
So since we're touching on that, so me personally, things that coping skill wise, has been to definitely voice when I know I need to step away or I need someone to step away from me. That's something
Well, how do you do that though as well?
I literally just say that, like, let's say we're arguing, or we don't even have to be arguing. If I feel like the conversation is getting heated and I'm getting really upset, so that nothing happens, like whether it's me get too sad about whatever we're talking about or me getting too angry, whatever the case is, if I know it's going to take me out of a good, I guess, mental health space, I basically would say, like, you know what, give me a minute. I need some time to just chill out. So,
cool.
And I'll just say that I've definitely gotten to the point to where now if I know, like, this is finna really upset me or it's finna really make me sad or whatever the case is, I do also try to make sure I have time alone. Not too much time because I can't do that as well, but just time to myself. Like even today when I woke up this morning, I woke up actually really early, which you probably know that's not even a thing for me, but I do try to do it daily.
Especially the kids on spring break, all that.
Yeah, so I
have noticed you getting up earlier.
Yeah, like I woke up at 6 something this morning. I stayed up for about 30 to 45 minutes before I even text anyone, did anything. Like I literally just took some time to myself to just really kind of clear my head, just get myself to a good headspace before I woke everyone up. And I don't typically do it in the morning. Sometimes I do it at night. Another thing, y'all know I've been going through some things or whatever. I know for a fact I told you this, but I try to get myself ready every day. It doesn't matter if it's literally, I told her, I was like, it could be at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, okay, I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to shower. I just make sure I do those things every day because I know if I get too sad or whatever, and I don't do something with myself, it's just going to go downhill from there. So every day I have to make sure, like, I do those things. And it's something so minor that other people might be like, so you make sure you get ready every day. Like, it helps.
That does contribute.
Yeah, it helps me a lot. So,
like you said, too, when you look good, you feel good.
Yeah.
You know? So
Absolutely. And what's funny is when you have a mental illness or you're going through a bad headspace, the first thing to go is your self-care, is your personal care, taking care of yourself. Some people are not able to shower, not even able to get out of bed, don't change clothes for days. So that's the first thing to go. So I tell people if you are in a bad state, the first thing you should do is pick up your self-care. That's the first line of defense. Because, again, when you look good, you feel good. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I can definitely understand it being hard to even, like, push yourself to do that, which is why I try not to ever fall out of the routine because once you fall out of it, like, it's like it only takes one day. Like, you fall out of it, and then it'll become a pattern. So that's something I also do. Also, since we're speaking on coping skills, what do you feel like are some negative coping skills that people should stay away from?
So definitely I know people do all kinds of things, we're adults, but smoking, drinking to numb yourself, doing drugs to numb yourself, gambling, cutting yourself, just things that you do to self-harm yourself are negative coping skills. Positive coping skills, the way you get those is to start with things that you like to do and then make them a routine, and they tend to become coping skills for you. So I love to write and journal, and so journaling had become a good coping skill for me. So because I don't like to talk, I'm a Capricorn like you, so I don't like to talk either, and so journaling helps me just get everything out without actually having to talk to
Do
somebody.
you try to do that daily?
I do.
Okay.
I try to do it daily. I have so much in my mind, and so I try to get
Let me get this out.
I do it. It's called brain dumping, and I just literally anything that comes to my mind during that 30-minute period, I write it down on paper. And it's so funny to read my journal. It's like, what was I talking about?
Do you listen to any music or have any candles going, diffuser? Or you just literally? It could vary.
It can vary. For me, I'm a silence person, and again, that's the Capricorn in me. I'm just a silence person. But I do like bubble baths and lavender scents and things like that. I listen to Eric Thomas, who's a podcaster, also a podcaster, and the #1 most motivational speaker.
Wow.
And he's just amazing. Like
Free game.
He motivates you, and so I listen to him every single morning.
I was just about to say
every single morning.
That's what you kind of do. Like, do you listen to him on your commute?
On my drive.
Okay.
On my drive. But I also listen to Tupac, okay? Because I need to get ready to go to war. So yeah,
Do your therapist listen to Tupac?
Okay, right? What? I might pull up to work with gangster music on. It's not uncommon. Also, another negative coping skill is eating poorly. So overeating, using food as a coping mechanism. Again, we're all adults. We have to eat whatever. But when we're using it to numb our emotions, that is a negative coping skill.
It's funny because ironically, mine is the complete opposite. Like I have an issue not eating.
Because sometimes you don't have the strength to do that. It's like
or the motivation.
I literally I know I've been actually struggling with that lately. I'll be like, I've literally had people call me like, "Did you eat?" And I'm like, honestly,
I'm about to be on that list.
I do try to make sure I eat at least once a day.
I tell her to drink some Ensure.
I've literally gotten to that point to where I've been eating at least once a day, and it's like honestly, if the kids didn't say like we're hungry, I probably wouldn't even remember that that's something I'm supposed to go do.
Yeah.
I do, however, one thing I forgot to mention is crafting. I craft like crazy. Nobody understands why I be up at 1, 2 in the morning, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm making something. Leave me alone. Give me my space, because that's what I need to do. That's what's going to help me. It doesn't help me clear my mind. It honestly just helps me
distracted.
No, not even distracted. It actually helps me focus because it'll be so many things on my mind, and it's like if I'm focusing on crafting, it kind of puts my thoughts into one little lane. Like I'm able to kind of decipher them more versus like having racing thoughts or anything like that. If I'm focused on something else, my thoughts are clearer to me. I don't know.
Wow. And that's so funny because anxiety, that's what it, you have to focus on something. If you focus on something, you'll clear your mind because, anxiety is racing thoughts. That's what what it is. Your mind just keeps going and going and going. And one of the things I do also is I paint. And so I'm not a good artist, but I paint. And so, if I'm sad, of course, it's blues and greens and that kind of stuff. If I'm happy, it's yellow, orange. So I just put the colors together and get it out of my mind, right? So I think it's getting the emotions out, expressing your emotions is what helps us to not decline, right?
Express yourself.
Yeah, a lot of people, what they do is, I use the illustration of a Sprite bottle with my teen clients. They take and use food coloring. They put so much in there, then you shake it up. And then when somebody triggers you, take that top off, and now you've exploded on everybody. Sometimes people that don't even deserve it, loved ones, right? And so if you release that top a little bit at a time, it's not all coming out at one time, right? So you have to express those emotions.
That's funny that you were saying that because even that's actually something I use with my kids. Like I said, I've been trying to voice it more because I, of course, never want to take anything out on my kids that is not directed at them. Like, if they out of line, then that's different. But because of that, there's times where even with my kids, I'm like, okay, I know I'm very upset. I'm very upset about something completely different. It has nothing to do with them. And I do have to say, like, you know what? Okay, give me a minute. Like, I need a minute. I will even let them know because my oldest tends to definitely get offended.
Internalize.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's not, I'm actually doing it because I don't want to get upset with you for no reason. And sometimes she'll feel as if I'm blowing her off or I don't want to talk to her. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with it. It's actually because I don't want to offend you or upset you for no reason. You haven't done anything. And I feel like that's something parents really need to do because I know for a fact growing up, and I'm not even just talking about my parents. It could have been aunts, uncles, grandparents, whatever. they'll be blowing up on me for I ain't even did that. I said, hey, I said good morning. Like, what are you doing?
Just because they're having a bad day.
Yeah, and so I think that's important that people actually do, voice that and tell them and explain it to your kids because, again, like I said, my oldest, she tends to feel attacked if I say that or feel like I don't want to be bothered with her specifically. Telling your kids exactly what it is. I mean, I'm not saying tell them your problems, but tell them, hey, I need a minute. I'm upset. I don't want to take it out on you. Give me a second, and then I'll tell you we can come back, or I'll come to you when I'm better or when I feel like I can communicate. So I just feel like that's important to open your mouth because I know a lot of parents don't want to, their kids, I'm not going to tell them.
But your kids learn from that as well.
They do.
They're going to learn how to deal with their own emotions, and it doesn't have to be a mental illness. It just, I get mad. I mean, you get mad. I mean, mad is a regular emotion, and people think being mad is a bad thing. Emotions are just emotions, right? They're not good or bad, because if you're happy that somebody fell down the stairs, then that's not a good emotion, right? So, emotions are they're just that. They're just emotions. So being mad is natural, but we have to teach our kids how to deal with that appropriately versus lashing out on everybody. And I think that's important to have your own mental health and say, this is how I'm feeling, this is why, and then go on about it. And they will learn from that. They truly will.
Yeah. Like I said, I definitely agree. Is there anything else you needed to ask?
It was, and I forgot. I was so caught up into the conversation, I forgot. I did want to ask, though, too, do you have any children?
I do. I have 4 children. I have a daughter who is 10, about to turn 11 in May. I have a 14-year-old. I think he's 21, and I think he's 28.
What?
Yeah, I have 3 lovely stepchildren from my husband.
Now I'm just like, how old are you? Because I thought something.
37.
Okay. Okay. So how do you, and have you changed how you deal with your kids when it comes to mental health and all that, like them expressing themselves? Because, of course, as parents, we'll be like, don't do this and don't do that, or don't listen to this music. Are you letting them be freely, or?
I wouldn't say free, just because, like I said, social media is rampant. So both of my boys are off, grown, doing their own thing. And then my stepdaughter comes every other week. But my 10-year-old, who's with me regularly, I do monitor what she watches. I have the app on my phone. I see everything, and I do watch make sure that there's no explicit anything going on. She's in that about to go to middle school range. And so now there are relationship issues, and I like this person, and I'm figuring out what I like, and that's scary for me, but I have to let her discover that on her own, right? And so I don't try to stifle her. Like, she's a huge tomboy right now, so I let her do that, and I'm a girly girl, but I was a tomboy too, so I grew out of it, but that doesn't mean she will. She might be a tomboy her whole life. She might have a different sexuality than I have, and I have to let her express that and be free in that. So I try not to stifle her, but I also do monitor, because we're not growing up the way that we all grew up.
Sure.
They're not growing up the same way that we grew up. I had very strict parents. Okay. I had very strict parents.
Mind you, our one of our parents were raised together.
Yeah.
So.
And they're both law enforcement. So I had strict parents. And then when I went off to college, it caused me to do things that I wouldn't normally do out of character, because I was,
so
freedom caged in. Yeah. So I try to give her rope as much as I can, because I know how I was, right? And she's kind of the same. We have the same kind of personality. So and then also letting her express her emotions, right? So the same way that you do with your kids and say, hey, I need a minute, we should do the same thing with our kids. If they need a minute, we shouldn't take that as it's disrespectful, or they're blowing me off, or they're not listening or following directions. Some kids need a minute too. They have emotions, and especially, like I said, my kid is 10. So she's in that puberty age where emotions are really big, right? And so not taking everything as disrespect. And I think that's important as parents.
I love
as well.
that, because I do think, especially Black parents, everything is disrespectful.
Okay. Smacking your lips, rolling your eyes, stomping up the stairs. Yeah, I have to catch it sometimes, because I'm like, look, girl, if you stomp up them stairs one more time.
Yeah, and I threaten a lot. In all honesty, my threats probably aren't very mental health positive. However, I do agree with you. I actually did not think of it like that until kind of semi-recently, like realizing that, wait, y'all do need a minute too. Like, so it's funny that you said that because I actually, within the past 3 months, I think, just became aware of that. So I do feel like that's really important.
And it takes practice because, again, we were raised differently and we weren't raised with that parenting. So I do the same. I have to catch myself because for instance, my daughter, she wasn't allowed to watch YouTube because of the explicit content on there. They could be watching cartoons and then something weird
Something else pops up. Yeah.
So I cut her off from YouTube. Well, she went, somewhere else and she was watching YouTube and saw it on my phone. And I said, you're not supposed to be on YouTube. I texted her, said, you're not supposed to be on YouTube. She said, well, I'm allowed to be on it over here. And I had to catch myself because I'm like, who is you talking to, little girl? And so later on, when I processed, I was like, okay, let me call her back. So I called her back and I said, okay, so tell me what you're trying to watch on YouTube. And, honestly, it wasn't anything. It was just something simple. She wanted to watch the kids gaming and some other,
I still don't understand that.
I don't understand it either.
Oh my gosh.
But that's what she wanted to watch. And she's not trying to watch anything explicit. So I had to take that out of my own mind and be like, think the best of your child.
And I think there is a kids YouTube.
It don't matter.
I didn't know it was on there too.
It does. It does. It absolutely does.
Well, thanks for the knowledge because I didn't know that. I thought that was the whole point of kids YouTube.
It is, but there's always some perv that's gonna figure out how to make cartoons do stuff they're not supposed to do.
Well, I definitely thank you for coming on. I have learned a lot. It's actually funny because some of the things that you were saying, I thought about our Black Professionals episode, and I'm like, y'all saying the same things. But we'll definitely go ahead and put all of your information in the description.
Awesome.
Any last words before we let you go?
No, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you again for coming, and thank you guys for watching. Listening.
Bye.